Good evening, my friends. One question I hear a lot from my clients in neuroplastic coaching around chronic illness is, am I doing enough practice? Is this enough? I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. Is it enough? And I want to address this in a multifaceted way because the idea that we need to be doing enough practice in of itself is not a well-rooted idea. However, and that's the first thing I want to say, is that most programs who teach a neuroplastic approach to recovery from chronic illness emphasize the practice. They emphasize, well, you need to do visualization for an hour a day. You need to do somatics for this amount of time. You need to do all these things in this cadence, in this amount, in this way, in order to recover. And the implicit and sometimes explicit idea is that if you don't, you won't recover. And I'm going to be very blunt with you. That is bullshit. The brain state that you are in for your 24/7 existence is far more powerful than just doing an hour or two of practice a day. An hour a day in the grand scheme of a 24-hour day is 4% of your day. If we're talking about waking hours, it goes to about 6.25%. Your brain is braining 24/7. Something you do for, even if you were doing practice for 3 hours a day of your waking time, maximum that gets you to almost 20% of your waking time. And if we think about wanting to create change, usually that means that our change, over time, we need to be embodying the new more than half the time. Practice alone isn't enough to recover. There's so many reasons for this. That's one of them. The other one is that ultimately we want to grow into a recovered life where we're not relying on practices to be well. So this is a lifestyle transformation. This is also for you if you find practices triggering or difficult, or you have a lot of resistance to them. I have a number of clients where following prescribed practices for prescribed periods of time is just not the path forward. And there are other ways to recover. I have a lot of people I work with where they're making progress and they're not following any kind of exterior structure like that. And that's the theme throughout this video, is interior versus exterior structure. So the first thing to notice is when you do the practices prescribed by any program that you're following or anyone you're following on YouTube, any program you've bought, anything about neuroplasticity, is to notice how your system responds. If you respond really well to visualization, do more visualization. If you respond really well to somatics, do more somatics. If you respond really well to breath work or laughter, do more of that. If you don't respond well to any of those things, visualization, breath work, somatics, anything, then that's your system saying, this isn't what I need. If consistently you don't respond well to it, vagal nerve exercises, vagal tone exercises, whatever it is, eye exercises, eye yoga, if something you don't respond well to, that is just your system saying, this isn't the right match. This isn't what I need. It doesn't mean it's a bad tool. It also doesn't mean you have to do it and you have to just push through it because someone told you to do it. So notice what your system responds to with relaxation or invigoration. If you feel more energized or more relaxed after a practice, that's good feedback. You feel more grounded mentally, you feel more grounded emotionally, that's feedback. You feel a lot more dysregulated, you feel more freezy or more amped up, that's also feedback of your system saying, this isn't what I need right now. Take note. Brain retraining and a neuroplastic approach to recovery from chronic illness is entirely about learning yourself, learning what your nervous system, what your brain, what you as a human being need to recover. It's not about the practices. There's no right or wrong here. There's just, what do you need? That's it. Another thing to take into consideration is, are you a structure person or are you a fluid, spontaneous, go with the flow kind of person? Meaning, what has worked for you? Not what your habit has been, but what's actually worked for you in your life as a whole. Has structure been helpful for you, even if you didn't like it? Has been relaxing into the flow been helpful for you or unhelpful, whether you like it or not? What's actually worked for you? Take that into account. There are two different kinds of structure as I see it. This is huge in recovery. There's inner structure and outer structure. So outer structure is like, school schedule. It's like a, practice schedule. I do this when I wake up. I do it at this time for this amount of minutes. And then at this time, I do that for that amount of minutes. And at this time, I do that for that amount of minutes. And that's my practice. That's exterior structure. You are conforming your inner world and yourself to an exterior structure of what you're doing with your attention, with your energy, with your emotions during that time, with your body during that time. You're conforming yourself to an exterior structure. We need both of these. So I want to highlight that not one and the other are not wrong or bad. It's just a matter of finding the balance that is life-giving and healing for you right now. And healing is a matter of balance. You're going to find balance, and we have to be able to be willing to go to different extremes to find a point of balance at some point. So you might be at one extreme or the other at any point, and that's okay. This video is here to help you define what is the right balance right now. That can change. It will change. That's okay. We want to meet ourselves where we are. That's what forward progress looks like, is giving ourselves what we truly need. So noticing what's working for you, what's worked for you in general, what's working for you right now in terms of inner or outer structure. Now, inner structure looks like noticing where you're at, where you're feeling. And this is where the earlier step of noticing what impact your tools have on you is huge. If if you're feeling lethargic and you know that soothing things are helpful, or that really uplifting, inspiring, and energizing things are helpful, you want to notice what's worked for you in the past and also be willing to be open to your system responding to something differently than it ever has. But when you're focused on inner structure, it's like you wake up in the day and you're like, okay, what feels life-giving right now? Does laying in my bed and doing, tapping or breathing feel good? Does doing a somatic practice of havening or holding feel good? Does just noticing the light on the walls and the fact that I'm held and I'm warm, I'm safe in my bed, does that feel good? Do you need to just get up right away and dance around your bedroom in your PJs to a super uplifting song? Is that what you need? What feels good? What feels life-giving? And sometimes life-giving can kind of counteract with what feels comfortable, so there can be some tension there. But what is life-giving? What moves you in a life-giving direction from moment to moment? And a lot of times when we're in a chronic fight, flight, freeze, sometimes our practices can feel like pressure. So removing the pressure to do practices for a certain amount of time or at a certain point in the day can really help. And just saying what feels good right now, and just going through the day, floating through the day, if that's something you can do, that can be really healing. I work with a lot of people where they've, either started at or at some point been in a space where there's no structured practice. It's just totally intuitive. Does noticing my breath, hand on heart, noticing soft lighting, what feels good right now? That's it throughout the day. You just do the next thing that feels gentle, feels good. That is attunement. You're noticing what your nervous system needs to feel comfortable and safe moment to moment. And that is, in a certain sense, more healing than anything else. It's one of the most healing things you can do. So if interior structure is what you need, toss all the exterior structure instructions you've been given in the trash for now. Pull them out if they're useful. If at some point you feel you need more exterior structure, great. If that's not serving you, toss it. You can pull it out later. It's not going to rot. It's always there if you need it. The last thing I'll say about this is that one thing I encounter with a lot of people is a feeling of burnout. And I experience this many times myself in recovery. And if that's you, know that your love for yourself, love itself, and presence are the only thing that makes each moment new. When you truly love yourself and you're recognizing, my brain and nervous system need me. They need me, my presence, my loving attunement, whatever the practices are in order to feel safe. We come from that place of deep love. We're saying, you matter to me. That's why I'm doing this. When love is the intention, every single moment is new. So that's something that will keep your practice fresh, is the only thing. If you're a parent, you know, we have kids, they're little, it's constant, it's brutal. It's the same thing in recovery. But when you recognize this person needs me, this nervous system, I need me. I love me. I want to give me what I need. I want to give this person what they need. I love them. That can make every moment, every practice infused with meaning and motivation and purpose that isn't there when we're just doing what someone said. So I encourage you to reflect on what you learned about yourself from this video. There's no right or wrong. It's just a matter of what you need right now at this point in time.